Hello, welcome to the video. I'm going to be taking a look at the new game Ark Survival Ascended on my 7900 XTX. I'm going to be checking it out in 4K, so you can see that here. We've got full screen to 100% resolution scale, so 4K native, and then we've got everything maxed out epic settings wise. I didn't see a FSR setting in here at all, so I don't think it has FSR in it, which is a bit of a shame, but we'll maybe check it out by lowering the resolution scale as well. So yeah, let's take a look. Okay, so the performance in this game is just absolutely brutal. 20 to 25 FPS at the moment, which is kind of crazy. It's actually probably the worst Unreal Engine 5 performance I think I've seen. Normally would be at least 30 to 40. However, the game is probably one of the better looking released Unreal Engine 5 games by the looks of it, I would say. Graphics are pretty incredible, but this performance is not good at all, really. We are hitting 16 gigs of VRAM, which is pretty high for Unreal Engine 5 games. Normally they're sort of a little bit better for the VRAM usage. We have obviously got 24 in this card, so not really an issue, but still pretty high. Normally we've been seeing kind of 10 to 11 gig used in Unreal Engine 5 at 4K. Power consumption as well on my GPUs looks pretty normal to me. It's maxed out basically. But although frame rate is low, it feels kind of okay. It's not stuttering loads for me, at least. It is kind of fairly consistent around those frames. Definitely cool to see this kind of remaster of the game in a different updated engine. It's kind of a shame that they charge for it, I think, as opposed to kind of like adding it as some sort of DLC from the first game, almost like Counter-Strike 2 to CSGO, you know? If you own the first game, maybe you get the update. Obviously the fact that the performance isn't great either, it's a shame that they charge like a whole brand new game for it. But it's never really been one of my favourite games. I've played it a little bit, the original Ark, but not massively. It does look really good though. Look at it. Let's see if maybe I could drop the resolution scale a little bit. I think, was it 67% is normally quality? I could be wrong there. I know I think Starfield we normally was running with that, wasn't we? To kind of the equivalent of what quality setting would be. Obviously we're getting a little bit better frames here, closer to 40, so it feels a lot better. Still not amazing frames though, but definitely feels a lot better than it did. I mean, we'd have to take it super low, 25. I'm just hoping to hit 60, but I don't think we're going to be able to. Hitting almost hitting 50 there. Feels a lot better, but the image definitely now is not looking too good. Not looking as good as it originally was. I will also maybe try just going 4K native and maybe putting everything on low or something just to see what the frame rate's like. That might be a good idea to do as well. Okay, so I've had to switch to the AMD overlay just because obviously that can't pick up when we enable motion frames. So I'm currently at 4K native with everything set to epic, so like we saw earlier, you can see we're getting about 20 to 25 FPS. Pretty much 16 gigs of VRAM, so yeah, roughly that similar performance I had even with MSI Afterburner, so those stats kind of align. Right, I'm now going to switch on Fluid Motion Frames, so I obviously have to do it from the driver. So I've switched that on there. We've got up to 48 here. Obviously the only issue is the latency. It doesn't feel too bad for me, but I wouldn't really recommend doing this with the the low frames we had. You want to be at least 50 or 60 FPS before switching on motion frames, ideally. But yeah, I was saying obviously with the latency, Pretty much we had like 20 to 25, so I wouldn't really recommend switching motion frames on here. I mean, the image gets really blurry. We have seen this issue before with motion frames where it doesn't seem to work when there's like high movement, which I think is what we're seeing. We had as high as about 48 to 50, and then it dips down here, and it's almost like it's not working. You know, we're back down to 25, 28. Here we're at 31. And look at the image. It just looks really super off. Gets like super blurry, and so yeah, not going to be too good really using it in scenarios like that. The latency for me feels actually okay though. It felt worse in Cyberpunk when I did it with the similar frames, but yeah, you can see obviously it's not. I feel like it's not really working. I see that the latency here, we got 40 milliseconds. That's actually a lot better than what I think we had about 52 in Cyberpunk, so it's probably why I don't feel it as much. It is actually better. It hasn't really changed VRAM at all. All consumptions of stuff looks about the same, but like, yeah, the image gets super blurry in places. But it looks for the most part that it's not working really. Like 22 FPS, it's actually slightly worse. So I think in this game, the movement definitely affects it. Look, you can see it. As soon as I start moving about, it drops down to like 26. And then if I don't touch anything, back up to 40, 47, 48. So there's definitely an issue there. I know people have brought this up before in terms of movement in games. I did see it a little bit in Cyberpunk as well. Seems to be very hit or miss in games whether this works or not. Hopefully we get a bit more of a refined version of it next year when it's official release. I'm going to try maybe switch the settings down to low maybe, or it'll make me back out, won't it? If I maybe drop just the render resolution down a bit, do we see the same issue? So I've dropped the render resolution down, so we should by default have higher frames obviously before switching that on. I've still got motion frames on here. We're almost... Yeah, see, this movement's still a problem. As soon as you start moving, it drops loads. Yeah, back down to 28 as soon as you start running. So obviously if I don't move, we can almost hit 60, 68. If I don't move, but as soon as I start moving, down to 40. So yeah, it looks all over the place. So I think your only sensible option really in this game is to probably just drop some of the settings or lower render resolution. It's pretty much probably the best option. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to drop a like on the video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of the game, and I'll catch you next time.